Hey everybody, it's Chris Widener, the founder of the Royal Table, and you can find us at royaltable.org. We're going to be opening up the Royal Table one time in October 1st is the next time. We open it up every 3 months for new people to join. And it's an amazing national men's ministry with some amazing people, including our guest today. Michael Hall he has a nationwide agency that deals with life and health insurance and lives in the great state of Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana. So, Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're interviewing a lot of people on this podcast, and the idea that I really want people to understand is that God is active and involved in everybody's life. Like, it's not just the influencers, on Instagram or professional athletes or these kinds of folks, but it's everyday guys just like you and me who we have to go out, we have to build our businesses, we got to maintain our marriages, we got to take care of kids, we got to pay mortgages, all those kinds of things. And God can be involved in that. So let's just get people to get to know you a little bit. Kind of give us the overview, the trajectory of your life. Where were you born? What was your family like? Struggles, victories, and how did you bring us right up to where you are today?
Oh man, I don't know if we have time for all that. I was born in Lynchburg, Virginia. My parents met in Bible college.
Oh,
My father is the son of a guy that worked for Chrysler for 35 years, ended up getting saved later in life, became a small country pastor. My dad was raised in a mobile home growing up, really never understood money, went to college, never graduated. But he went to Liberty University, felt called to become a pastor, and I was born there. We lived there till I was 2 years old, and then he felt called to move to Baltimore, Maryland, and start a church. So we moved there when I was about 2.5 years old. I'm the oldest of five children. Growing up, my dad's number one love was the church. I don't remember him being involved in my day-to-day life as much as my mom that was always there. But I got to see the way that he impacted people. I got to see the difference that he made in people's lives. And that was something that really grabbed my attention. I didn't want
what
to
what
do
kind
it
of
the way
church
he
was
was
it?
doing
Was it
it.
a Baptist church or what kind of church
Yeah,
was
it
it?
was
Baptist.
Baptist church for many years. It eventually became non-denominational once that became a thing. But yeah, it was Baptist. N Never a large church. I mean, it would at times it'd grow up to maybe 300, 350 people, but a fairly small church. And but what I realized was that, if you know anything about pastors, a lot of the smaller pastors are they're bivocational. He always had another job. He never made enough money to pay the bills. We moved
That's how I got
probably.
my start. I started a church in Seattle, Washington, well, Issaquah suburb, with 6 people. I was a church planter, and I started speaking and writing to pay my bills.
And so there's so many people just like that. We moved probably 12 times when I was growing up. But we always had that good family dynamic. I had parents that loved each other, that were together, and we didn't have any money, but we didn't know that we didn't have any money. Even being the oldest, like I've got my clothes and my shoes from hand-me-downs from friends. But I remember getting to high school, Chris, and everybody knew what they wanted to go to college for. Everybody knew what they wanted to do for a career. And I remember feeling completely lost. I didn't want to go to college. I was horrible at school. I'm an introvert. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to do sales. And I remember in high school, my best friend at the time, he was the complete opposite of me. He wanted to go to the Citadel, join the Marines, become a fighter pilot, save the world. We had a bet about something, and to this day, I don't remember what it was, but I was 1,000% sure I was right, and I was wrong. And if I was wrong, I was supposed to go to boot camp with him the next day. And so I remember being wrong on this bet, and nobody expected me to keep my word. I'm 17, about to turn 18, or maybe I just turned 18. And I remember thinking one of the things that my dad instilled into me from early on is that, hey, someone could take everything from you, but the one thing they can't take is your word. Like integrity is everything. And I remember thinking to myself, like, do I want to start my adult life out on a lie to myself, or do I want to see this through? I was terrified to make this decision. Decided I would see it through, went home, told my mom. They pushed it back a week. And I feel like that decision right there changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Well, I got to tell you, I am one of these guys that I would love it if we had mandatory either military or Peace Corps, like, go to military or do some sort of a, nationalized kind of helping kind of deal. Because frankly, I don't believe that kids are ready for college atmosphere at 18 anymore. 100 years ago, a 14-year-old could go out, buy some land, become a farmer, and get married and start having kids. They were mature enough. Our 18-year-olds, they're not mature enough to have total freedom with a bunch of beer and drugs and, all that stuff going on.
I completely agree. I think that every man should have to go through some sort of boot camp and at least 2 years of service. Just that taught me so much about being a man and growing up. And I'll tell you, I mean, before that, I was chasing the wrong things. I was hanging out with the wrong people. I got involved in drugs and alcohol early on in life, being a pastor's son. I was looking for acceptance in all the wrong places and looking for a place to belong. And thankfully, I feel like the Marines really saved my life.
Hmm. Yeah. What happened after the military? How long did you do and what happened? What's been your kind of career trajectory?
Yeah, well, I signed up for 6 years. I did 2 years active. What I always wanted to do was to be a Baltimore City firefighter and paramedic. So at
Hmm.
the age of 20, I got that phone call. I went from active duty to the reserves and the Marines, became a fireman. I loved what I
A
did.
fireman in Baltimore may be more dangerous than the Marines.
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, 100% it prepared me for my time when I was in Iraq. When
Yeah.
I went to Iraq later on, a lot of the people I was there with have never even seen their grandparents dead in a funeral home, and they have such trouble even functioning in life today. Where
Yeah.
I had already seen so much death and trauma by the time that I got to Iraq, and by the time I was there, I was the old man. I was 25 years old. Yeah, I'd already seen many kids die traumatically, and parents and different things. So without a doubt, it definitely prepared me. But
Yeah.
I signed up for 6 years. My time came and went. I didn't feel like I did my part because I'd not been overseas. And so, again, I had a decision to wrestle with. The one thing that I've tried to live by is I don't want to have any regrets. If I
Hmm.
wasn't good enough to do something, or it wasn't in God's will, or He didn't give me the talent for it, fine. But I didn't want to not live out my fullest potential because of lack of courage.
Yeah.
And so I volunteered to extend 2 more years, hooked up with an infantry unit out of Texas, went to Iraq in 2004, August of '04, got back the end of March of '05. And that really changed my life. I mean, in January 26, um, was the deadliest day of that war, and we were right in the thick of it. Here's a thing about how God has spared me. I went there because I wanted to see action. I went there because I wanted to do something. I wanted to play my part. And we got to Iraq, and we were in this big base called Al Assad. There wasn't much going on there,
Yeah.
and it was like a city, right? Like they had all the stuff there. Well, one of the guys we were working with was attached to some special forces out on the western Al Anbar province in a town called Rupa, Iraq. And he came back and was visiting with us. He's like, man, like we're getting hit every day. Like we're on these missions. We need some help. And I threw my hands up. I was like, take me, like take me. Like I don't want to come here and sit around. I want to do something. Well, I ended up getting, after some pushback, I ended up getting selected and was able to go work over there. So we were on a man-made base. We were working with Delta Force, Force Recon with the Marines, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, everything, right? What we did was we would patrol the cities by day, and by night we would do helicopter missions, going to look for top Al Qaeda terrorists, blow the doors in and go, take everyone in custody looking for weapons and things like that. Well, while I was there, we were there just before the first democratic election in Iraq. Well, on January 26th, my group that I left, right, that I was supposed to be driving a vehicle there. We had a new group come in and they were kind of showing the lay of the land. Well, that group got attacked while that night. The
Hmm.
vehicle I was supposed to be driving was hit with an RPG. Two of the people were killed instantly. Two more were shot and killed, and two
Hmm.
of the guys walked away from that. Right. So I've dealt with a lot of guilt with that, with
Hmm.
not being there. And that same night when that happened, where I was on the other side of the country, we watched a helicopter crash that killed 30 Marines and one Navy corpsman. And
Mm.
so we were the first ones there on the scene. And this was the only time that my parents knew where I was in the country. One of the guys on the helicopter, his name was Michael Starr, lived one neighborhood over from where I was. So my parents were literally watching the news for 3 days, waiting to hear if I was still alive or not. And we were in
So
the
what was your role in the Marines? Because you obviously
infantry.
weren't the medic, because that's the Navy corpsman. What was your role?
I was in infantry. So
Oh, you were an infantry guy.
we
Okay.
supported the special forces while we were
Gotcha.
there, but I
Gotcha.
was the
Okay.
security for them.
So you weren't pulling from your EMT fireman deal.
Well, I mean, it
I
came in
mean, you
use
pulled
while we
from it
were
when you
there.
needed
Yeah.
to, but that's not
Yeah.
what you weren't
No.
the, yeah. Okay. I got you. Good.
Yeah. I was a motor T, so I was driving a vehicle and I was infantry.
So when did you get out? What happened after that?
I got out in '06, went back to work in the fire department. I tell you, it's a miracle that I didn't die or kill somebody. Really, just trying to transition back into civilian life was one of the most difficult things I could do. When I got back to California with the Marines, what they had us do was they woke us up at 6 a.m. every day for the out processing, and for 2 weeks we'd go to the liquor store right on base, hit it as soon as it opened up, drink all day till we passed out, and then 2 weeks later they send us home. So now I'm going to the fire department uh, after drinking all night, driving the fire truck drunk, driving the ambulance drunk.
Mhm.
It's only by God that I didn't kill myself or somebody else. Thankfully, 6 months into that, I was able to pull my head out of my butt and kind of realize, what I was doing to my wife and my family and my friends. And eventually, in 2009, I got some lung issues from my time in Iraq, and I medically retired from the fire department in 2010. And I ended up getting involved in network marketing. Did okay, realized that really wasn't the path for me. Somebody introduced me to the insurance space. I said, no, thank you. Then I saw what it was and how we were able to really serve people, make a difference in their life. Jumped in, was blessed enough to make a multiple six-figure income my first full year 15 years ago, and it's changed my life since then. It's been the most difficult and challenging thing that I've ever done, but it's also been one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done.
That's awesome. Well, let's cycle back. And we know already you were born kind of into a Christian home, pastor dad. And it's interesting as I do these interviews, you got the people who've been in church since the beginning, and then you have people that didn't come in till they were 40 or 50, you know. So tell us kind of your journey of faith.
Yeah, it's I hear all these stories of people that weren't around church, and it's you think of like a Saul to Paul type of situation where everything is just so dynamic, right? And polarized. I was in church my entire life. I've been a believer since I was young, 6 or 7 years old. Um, I've always believed 100%, that Jesus came and died on the cross for our sins to forgive us, but I never had the relationship.
Mm.
Um, I never read my Bible on a regular basis. I kind of went through the motions and went to church, sang the songs, did the thing, but I would say there's probably several different times in my life, but specifically, when I was in Iraq, that really changed the way that I looked at life and my faith and my belief.
Yeah.
And that's really when I started on the journey
What
of
is it? There's no
relationship.
atheist in foxholes?
That's right. That's right. And same thing in prison and in boot camp, right? Like everyone
Right.
catches church. About 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I had a business taken away from me and I lost a really large income. And it's incredible the way God showed up there.
Mm.
I mean, I've got a story about how I got 6 months behind on my health insurance and lost it. And I called the fire department and they were able to wipe clean the debt that I had with them and allow me to sign back up the beginning of the year. Just so many little things where God was there early on in my life, doing stupid things like driving and not remembering how I got somewhere and God just bringing me through it. But it's looking back, you might wonder where he's at in the moment, but looking back, you see that he's been there the whole time. It's my own stupidity that kept me from seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. So what was like the pivot point where you went to 100%, I'm sold out, not perfect, but I'm sold out. This is going to be me for the rest of my life.
when I came home from Iraq, when I was in Iraq, when I
Was
saw
there
how
somebody
fragile
that
life
talked to you
was.
about it? Did you, I mean, was there some pivotal moment? Was there a pivotal person? Or did you just come
No,
home and you're like, finally figured this out. I'm all in for what
yeah.
I already know.
Yeah, I think it was just really seeing firsthand how mortal we are, how fragile life is, and watching these kids over there, die at a young age, and realizing that that's just not, that's just, if they're, I started looking around, and I mean, in Iraq, in any given night, I could look up and see, I don't know, maybe 100 shooting stars. And you've got a lot of quiet time over there, right? There's a lot of busy time. There's a lot of quiet time too. And just, I mean, I don't know how you can look at creation. I think that so many people get involved in such a fast-paced life that we don't ever slow down enough to think about this stuff.
You
But when
mean, you
you're
mean we can't get everything out of nothing? That just
I know,
seems,
right? But when you're sitting there and your life is on the line and you're seeing people die and you're seeing creation and you're seeing all this incredible stuff with it, it just really gives you time to think. And I thought, you know, if it's kind of like, is it C.S. Lewis, who's the atheist that went out to prove Christianity wrong and then had
well,
so
there's
much
been a bunch
evidence
of them, but Malcolm
towards it that
Muggeridge and yeah, there's been a bunch of those guys. It's funny when you finally do the deep dive how you come out a Christian.
it's just how is it not logical to believe that there's a creator, that we were each uniquely and specifically created for a purpose, and for me to outlive a lot of the stupid things that I've done, it really made me think, okay, maybe God's got a bigger purpose for my life, and that's why I'm still around, and maybe I should stop playing with fire and really lean into this thing.
Yeah. So what's God doing in your life right now? What's he working on? What are you going through? New revelations, new things about yourself that you need to yield. Like what's God doing with you right now?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really excited about the Royal Table and being a part of that. One of the things that I've not done a good job with is connecting. Being an introvert, I'm not one to go connect with BNI
Yeah.
groups or groups inside of the church as much as I should. So I'm excited to be able to be around other uh, Christian brothers, to be able to stretch myself and get me to that next level. But really, what he's doing is he's showed me how he's been there and had his hand on my life my entire life. And he's showing me
Which
how
means if he's always been there before, he'll be there after.
that's right. That's right. And it's like, man, I think about how good we have it. I mean, living in this country and some of the best people to live out the American dream are people that migrated to this country, right? Some of the best believers are people that did not have God in their life, that didn't know who He was, and then they come to Christ. And they have this radical change. I
Yeah.
feel like in the Bible it says the worst thing you can do is be lukewarm, right?
Yeah.
He either wants you hot or cold, and I feel like when you're in church all your life, that could almost backfire on you because it becomes a habit or a way of life. I don't know. I don't know, but it really didn't become real to me until I was an adult and really went through some scary things. But God is growing me. He's stretching me. I've got more and more of a desire to be in His Word every day. To have that relationship and pray with Him. I've been blessed to have several of my mentors have been really good believers. And really being a parent has changed a lot of that too, because it's like now
Yeah.
it's not just about me.
Yeah.
Who do I want my daughters to be? And how do I want them to treat people? And first of all, I mean, what do I want with their soul?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've got such a huge responsibility right now to become the best version of myself so that I can pour as much into them and help prepare them for life as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. Folks, Michael's just one of our founding members. We've got an amazing group of people in the Royal Table. We have everybody from truck drivers to pastors to financial advisors to a three-time World Series winning pitcher. He's got three rings to prove it. Just a great widespread group of people. But the common bond is Christ. And the common bond that we have is that we want to grow, This is about growth. It's about, not just call myself a Christian, showing up at church, but how do we become the men that God wants us to be? And Michael, I'm just really super happy. We've known each other a couple years now, and just thrilled that you're a part of it, and you're gonna get a lot out of it, but you're also gonna provide a lot of leadership to it too. And I'm just excited about that. So thanks for joining us today.
Amen. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Awesome. You guys can jump on over to royaltable.org, get on the wait list. We're going to reopen it October 1st. You want to be at the top of the line, and we'll bring you in for the final quarter of the year. Take care, and we'll see you soon.